Going to see the two MVP favorites opposite one another for the second time this season. It was Baltimore beating the Bills back in September in Baltimore. Temps Sunday going to be lower. Scoring from the Bills has to be higher than the 10 they manufactured back in September. Good news for them, undefeated at home this season. Time to huddle up.
Pro Bowl wide receiver Zay Flowers did not practice all week, but the Ravens have not officially ruled him out. After Friday's practice, I asked Ravens coach John Harbaugh whether he thinks Flowers will be able to play Sunday. Harbaugh told me, I think he'll have a chance. Flowers has been sidelined since injuring that knee in the regular season finale 2 weeks ago. But Flowers has been making progress. He participated in a workout before Friday's practice where he did some running while wearing a brace. Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson told me it would be a huge challenge if Flowers can't play. But he added, they have a lot of players who are locked in and ready to step up.
This is what everyone's been waiting for, right? That's how Buffalo Bills head coach Sean McDermott started out this Bills-Ravens week, and with all eyes on the MVP contenders in Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, he couldn't be more right. For this Bills team, though, this has been a pretty loose week in the locker room here in Orchard Park, really like any other. You wouldn't quite know the magnitude. And Allen even said the biggest fear going into this one is letting each other down. Now the Bills are trying to end a streak of 3 straight losses in the divisional round, in addition to coming back from a blowout loss to the Ravens in Week 4. Left tackle Deion Dawkins told me that this is a whole different team, though. When it comes to the other side of the ball and limiting Lamar Jackson, there have been outside questions about the size of this Bills defense. McDermott kept it pretty to the point and said, I guess we'll find out.
So you see a postseason graphic with the Chiefs and you're like, oh, this must be great. Actually, the Bills are trying to avoid being added to this list and avoid being eliminated at home for the 3rd straight postseason, having been knocked out by the Bengals and the Chiefs in the divisional round the last 2 years. In the league's history, only 3 teams have been eliminated at home 3 straight postseasons. The Bears, 86 through 88, those Chiefs in 16 through 18, and the Saints from 2018 to 2020. As promised, our brain trust is back. That means Louis Riddick is here to talk a little shop. Louis, a lot of similarities between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. What is the biggest difference between them that will be or could be a factor tomorrow?
Well, look, Gary, I think it's really about the opposing defenses that both of these teams are going to be going against and how they really match up. Look, Baltimore's defense is just huge up front, and they're deep up front through their front 7. I mean, they go 300-plus across the board. And this is a football team that when they do go sub, and they put 5 defensive backs on the field, and Marlon Humphrey moves into the nickel, and you have Kyle Hamilton at safety, they're still big and physical, which makes it tough for any team to run the football on them. When you flip it over now, when you have Baltimore's on the football field offensively, and they put their big people on the field, and Patrick Ricard comes in the game, and he winds up playing that hybrid fullback, tight end type of position, it is tough for any team. I don't care if you're matching big on big to go up against this high-powered Baltimore rushing attack, because not only do they have a vertical slashing component with Derrick Henry, they have the horizontal, lateral, perimeter component with Lamar Jackson and Justice Hill. And on top of it, look, for Buffalo, think about what they like to do defensively. Think about the personnel they like to put on the field defensively. They love to play nickel. They play nickel the majority of the time. And they're not the biggest team up front. And if you remember, going back to their first matchup, when they have sub on the football field, you just are not going to match up well. They didn't match up well against Baltimore then. Derrick Henry was able to gut them when they were in that personnel grouping. So tell me how that changes in this football game. Tell me where the physical matchup, when you're talking about player for player, changes in this game as opposed to 3 months ago. I just don't see where it's changed. Buffalo's a different team, as Deion Dawkins mentioned. They don't want to let one another down. And you know what? They're a team with a whole lot of pride, and Josh Allen is an absolute freak show. I get it. Baltimore is healthy. Lamar is a freak show. They are big and physical. They've made changes on the defensive side of the ball to not only shore up the pass protection, but they can stop the run against anyone because they're 7-8 deep up front with huge guys. I see this matchup as favoring Baltimore, and I've said all along, and just like every other team that plays Baltimore says, the only thing that will stop Baltimore is Baltimore. Because 1 through 53, this team is stacked. They are. I hope Zay Flowers is able to play. If he doesn't, obviously, as Lamar has said, it really does put them, in a bind. But this team is big, physical, and talented. They are a hell of a team to try and match up against. I'll just put it that way.
Massive defensively, and 6'2", 250 in the backfield. Derrick Henry, part of that Week 4 271-yard rushing attack in that win against the Bills. Divisional weekend, Chiefs well-rested, hosting the Texans on ESPN and ABC. Patrick Mahomes looking to stay perfect in divisional round games. He's 6-0 all time, 13 touchdown passes, 0 interceptions in this round of the playoffs. Okay, KC, a team, they've won their last 7 playoff games, tied for the 3rd longest streak in NFL postseason history, behind only the early 2000s Patriots and the 60s Packers. As for the Texans, 0-5 all-time in the divisional round, including the 2019 divisional loss to those Chiefs when Houston was up 24-0 before Patrick Mahomes happened. Louis Riddick happening right now, hanging out with us this morning and throughout the show. Louis, fantastic to see you. What is the blueprint, if any, the Texans must follow in order to pull off a monumental upset?
Look, I think first and foremost, when you're going on the road like this, winning the turnover battle has to be priority number one. For CJ, he has to protect the ball better than he did in their first matchup when he went in their Arrowhead. So that just means, look, no extra possessions for Kansas City, no giving them any short fields, and make sure once they get in the red area in particular, he has to be like a surgeon. He has to be like a surgeon when he's throwing the football. Nico Collins is going to have to play a big role in that. He's a big target down there. They move him around. They're creative with him. He has to continue to be that way. And Joe Mixon is going to have to find a way to be a factor, both running the football and catching the football out of the backfield. It has to be 6. They cannot settle for 3. And then on the defensive side of the football, it's got to be about communication, man. They got to make sure that they're not turning anybody loose with the way Kansas City is very creative as far as creating mismatches and creating confusion. And they have to tackle. Patrick is going to use his legs. A lot of things that they have to get done, but they're more than capable of doing it.
Houston picked off Justin Herbert 4 times last week, so they're certainly not going to be lacking confidence coming into this game, but stepping up a weight class, taking on Patrick Mahomes. On the other side, the Chiefs side of things, let's talk about Travis Kelce. 13 straight playoff games with at least 70 yards. Louis, how do you anticipate KC using him today?
See, like I was talking about with Houston, right, as far as making sure they communicate and make sure that they are assignment sure. Kansas City is going to try and really mess with that, and they'll mess with that by formation variation, getting Travis off the ball in particular, and allowing him to get some free access down the field. When you put Travis on the line or keep him in the core and people can get their hands on him, that's where he struggles. So they're going to move him around. You'll see him in the backfield. You'll see him in motion. You'll see him in stacks and bunches, especially when they are anticipating man coverage. You're going to see a lot of rub routes, a lot of situations where it's just good old-fashioned basketball. They're going to try and create some situations where he can weave his way through traffic and beat man coverage. And look, Travis knows how to play backyard football better than anybody.
Sure.
So anytime Houston is in zone coverage, you're going to see him sit down, find the voids, and him and Patrick will just go to work. It's a tough task. That's why he's a surefire Hall of Famer. But again, this is part of what DeMeco Ryans knows they have to get done if they want to win this game and pull off the big upset.
And we are close.